Hello everyone, welcome to the War Legends RTS. My name is Kabi and today we are gonna watch the spectacular and at the same time quite educational game that the two very good players had against each other recently. In the top right corner as the dark raid player we see Dominator, and in the bottom left corner as the light blue player we see Zvei. Or you can pronounce his nickname as Zwei if you feel it, but he has the typo in how the German number should be written, so I used to call him Zwei, so I'll stick to this in this video. And the idea of this game was that the dark player was about to play the most strong and dangerous strategy that darks have recently, which is playing Orcs and the many AX masters along with the two different heroes, which is Chief and Alchemist. And the light player was about to think something out and improvise the strategy to probably take it down, because many players really struggle to deal with it lately. So you can notice that Zvei is starting with a very interesting opening, going up to 9 workers instead of usual 7 or 8. That is done by delaying his barracks on some time, and that led him to get more lumber, to also add a farmer on, so he had enough food to at the same time hire the first swordsman and another worker. Of course that also meant that he delayed his tier 2 castle by some time, but he has the strong economy. But if we look on the dark player base, we can notice that he made even more. He made 10 slaves. It is a bit weird to say like hire slaves, because you don't really hire slaves, but anyways, it is hire slaves. I mean, it is 10 slaves, alright? So he even built a sawmill. That means that he is probably about to go goblin tech, because the goblin lab takes 400 lumber to be built and the alchemist himself takes 650 lumber to be built, so that is above 1k lumber. And you also need an altar of heroes and the second pix to do, so that really takes a lot of wood, so that is why he makes that many. Probably even too many, because he also spent the wood scroll, and I believe that he could instead use the gold rush scroll, but that is not really important. What is important is that the both players are about to play the fast heroes, and the light player chooses the elven tech and is summoning his first princess, the princess as the first hero, while the dark player decides to go alchemist. And this is the point where the Zvei swordsmen are engaging into the enemy's base, but the problem that the goblin lab with its aura is giving the healing to the friendly units and the allied units, so you can't really fight under this aura with the starting units if you don't have enough bursts. So even though Zvei is very capable of doing the early game micro, he decides to pull back and rearrange his troops, because it is the 4th minute mark now, and in a minute the chests will pop out on the map, and of course he knows it perfectly, so he's starting to get his troops in position. This swordsman will be trying to solo get the bottom one, while the other troops are going to the top position. Currently we don't have those spots marked from the beginning of the game, so you pretty much just have to learn where on the maps do the chests pop out, but we don't really have a lot of maps, so probably that's not a problem if you play enough games, but I guess we'll add it in the future. But when that will happen, you will see them on the minimap again, anyway. But here the dark player comes to the top position, and even though the light has more swordsmen, the alchemist of course is very strong, and in this precise moment princess are going into the enemy's base, he does one arrow into each of the 3 workers and then does active ability, and the arrows kill all the 3 workers. Now Princess really has to retreat because she can't solo the 3 goons, and of course she can't do the 4 goons as well. But 3 workers is quite good if you count also the fact that they took one of the chests. And now Princess are continuing to harass the enemy's troops for now, not the economy anymore. Tries to do the damage because the dark player obviously doesn't have healers apart from the aura and the alchemist ability. And what for the light player is he going to has the healers. And that is another interesting point, because a lot of players currently tend to entirely skip the healing tech and don't build the sanctuary at all, or at least build it for the fox riders and the wind mages, but those technology is not very popular now, so Zwei is doing very interesting thing about it. And at the same time he is advancing on the fire elemental to obtain the first mana well, and so does the dominator too. Here we see the worker who is probably about to build the elven tower, and the princess is harassing the units from above, which is a little weird thing about this map, that you can capture one of the wells from the center, but you can't capture the other one because the trees won't let you. And what Zwei told me about this game is that he decided not to abuse it, because they wanted this game to be representative. So he wanted to withdraw all the possible random that could occur. So he decided that he will not abuse in this. And so he led the well to the enemy, and now starts the engagement. The alchemist does his ability, so his units are being healed. Princess is going into the back lane to get healed by the healers, and so do the swordsman, which receives more damage. They all go in the back lane to be healed, as you can notice, and the princess keeps shooting from behind, so pretty much none of the light units was killed in this engagement, and probably they didn't kill many dark as well, but the dark units get low and they has to retreat, but Princess won't let him. Just see how he kills the first one, and she's following the other 2, and probably none of them are gonna retreat, and even Alchemist can survive this one, but he's still full HP, and obviously no one gonna fight with him. But here come the bigger boys, because in the meantime Dominator got into his Citadel tier 3, also upgraded the barracks and the altar, and he's gonna do the missing part of the tech, which is considered imbalanced by some of our players during the last week or 2 or 3 probably. So Dominator is now starting to really get the things in the place, which is the chief, the Axe Masters, so he's gonna trade his goons. And at the same time, again, Zwei decided not to take the well, and he is receiving his pit stop to get his things healed. And we also can notice that he upgraded the human monument as well as the factory to the 2nd tier to be able to get the ballista. The ballista is an interesting unit that can do a lot of damage in the area, but it is also very fragile, so you really need to care. Princess is coming on the enemy's army and using the piercing arrows, but here is the deadly combo, the Circle of Power, as well as Alchemist ability. Everyone is being healed, and still Ballista's doing not a bad job. from the long distance, but it is mostly attacking the goons, and obviously goons die, but the chest is being obtained by the dark player. But at the same time, the light player got the bottom chest, so it is the fair trade, and the light player even continues to pressure, because there are no alchemist ability anymore, and probably no mana for the scroll anymore. But we see that the Dominator now has his 100 and Zwei has his 75, so he used the Magic Blast, kills off one X-Master, and now he can pretty much take this mana well in the fair way, if you want. And now we see also the Dwarven Forge being added. Most of the players would do that to add the Bikers, because the Bikers are considered to be the strongest late game unit currently by the most other players. But in this particular game, they will not build any of the Bikers, will not build a single one. So rather than that, he decided to stick to ballistas, which is quite unusual, as well as having 3 healers is quite unusual for the modern strategies. But it is the idea he decided to test out, so let's just see how this will work out. Now we see the Dark Army advancing again, Chief in the first position, in the first lane, X-Masters are following, Paladin is using his light dome, the Dome of the Light, and Zwei sees that the position is not any good, but here comes the Meteor from the Dark player, which takes off all the 5 ballistas. Very painful stuff to lose, but you can't really do much, because Meteor is doing an enhanced damage to the tech, and obviously ballistas are the tech, so it's just one-shots them, and well, you have to just deal with it, and you have to split those and probably not build a lot. But anyways, the 2 heroes are trying to buy time, while inside the base something new will be built, will pop out from the production. And what new is popping out is the Guardsmen, the units that do a lot of damage to the chivalry, to the cavalry, but there is no cavalry. The Orcs do not play the riders. Rather than that, they decide to go the X-Masters only. But the Guardsmen are still better armored comparing to the Swordsmen, and they have higher HP and higher resistance, so it actually makes sense to do the Guardsmen, and that is pretty much the core unit for the light. So if you just need something beefy, the Guardsman is a good choice. And you may also not have noticed that, but the strong part of the Guardsman is that their higher time, build time, is very low. So to put it simpler, you can really spam them fast. So if you need some beefy fast, the Guardsmen are perfect to do that. You also wanna not to give them away like this, but Zwei is noticing this in time, so he's arranging the new, but he doesn't really wanna fight before his ballistas will be out of the factory. This one doesn't know where it's going, but it seems that Zwei does. And the other 2, as you can see, is now splitted far enough from each other. The Baron is also in position, so is the Princess, and the light player is going to advance on the enemy. Here comes the Dome of the Light, and here comes the defense scroll. The Baron does his artillery strike, and the ballistas strikes here too. And here is the moment where the dark player used the circle of the power. And what would the light player do? He will not fight in this, which is, if you think about it, is quite a smart decision. Then, if you can, then just why fight? Why fight in this? Just pull back and wait until it will end. And now it ends, and now the light player wants to fight. The chief yells in the direction of his soul units, but that is not important. Which is important in this is that everyone got the buff, and they're trying to go inside this army to probably get to the range where the ballista would not be able to shoot. And okay, now the ballistas can't shoot, but was it a good decision to come into the guardsmen? Because just see how much damage do the guardsmen do. And the paladin already has his second dome within this long engagement, and now all the dark player has left was the alchemist, and the alchemist went down, and the light player wins this engagement in the very convincing fashion by just not taking it until the dark had all his buffs available, such as the 2 active abilities and the scrolls. So it was also happening where the 3 chests on the map pop out, because the 15th minute mark, that means the mid chest, which is appearing each 7 minutes 30 seconds, and the smaller chests, which appears each 5 minutes on the 15-minute mark, as well as the 30-minute mark. They are appearing at the same time, and now Zwei was able to get them all after winning that engagement. And all Dominator can do about it right now is to get his gun on the well, to not allow his opponent to at least get this well, to at least get some mana ready for the next engagement. In the meantime, the light player kills the lizards and captures the observation tower, and trying to get his army back, and he's succeeding in this. Already 90 food supply, but the light player is already maxed out. He can't really add anything new right now, and what he has new right now are the snipers. Now he has 2 snipers as well as the 2 ballistas, so a good range army, as well as a lot of guardsmen who can tank. So this army really looks nice, and you can't probably take them down this easy anymore, because it works as a combo, apparently. But let's see how the next engagement will look like. Princess is now gonna face check, but that is the dangerous stuff to do, so Zwei decides to pull back and heal his princess, because she's not full HP and there are 3 healers. So another little pit stop. Zwei is advancing his guardsmen with his guardsmen, so that they'll be able to notice where the enemy will leave his base. And now we see that the dark player leaves his base. The Grok is using buff in advance, so that means that like 7 seconds were lost in vain. But the bad thing for the light player is that those snipers were given away for nothing. And here again, that combo, the active ability, as well as the scroll, and Paladin uses his dome very far from the fight by a mistake pretty much, but see how good ballistas perform in this fight. And the dark player decides to pull back and probably heal a little bit, but the active ability of Alchemist is not going anytime soon, so anyway, ballistas left in the background, so they will be taken down. Probably they can't retreat because they are relatively slow. Zwei pulls back with all of his stuff to, I guess, to heal the heroes in the first place. And here comes the meteor from the light player. It doesn't really strike a lot of units, but still better than nothing. there was the worker trying to obtain the chest, not successfully though, but the other worker get the other one, so that is not bad. And also the artillery strike from the Baron kills off one of the X-Masters. And both of the players are now maxed out again, but they both also need to pull the things together. But right now we see that the two X-Masters are being built, and that is all the Dominators missing, while Zvei is still missing the Sniper and the Ballistas, so probably Dark player can go to the middle of the map earlier. And the next big checkpoint is this big middle chest on the 22 and 30 seconds mark, so which is in 1 minute 30 seconds. The units are being split to prepare to get a good fight. Probably that would not be a bad idea to get the Ballista in this position, but Zvei doesn't have enough time for that because Chief is already here. Paladin is going into the enemy's army, and Zvei is trying to get Chief as fast as he can, while Paladin is just tanking, and this Chief survives this by just barely. I'm not even sure why did he die. Probably some sniper was able to shoot him, or Ballista, I didn't really notice, honestly. Was it maybe the magic blast? But no, the mana, I believe, was spent for... I'm not sure, probably that was a magic blast. But anyway, now we see that the dark player is moving to the left side, and the light player is advancing on him. The Paladin is very exposed. He doesn't really have much HP, and even 4 healers can't resurrect and can't heal him really quick. But there is no choice. The defense scroll is coming, but also the alchemist ability. Ballistas doing the really good job. Just one ballista actually, but it covers a lot of the enemy's units, and the 4 snipers are coming to the position to start fighting. And the interesting decision Dominator takes here, he decides to go for the trade and take down the mana tower quickly, to use in this position of the high ground, to use here the circle of the power. And by this buff, Paladin is going down really quickly, even though it used the dome, but the dome doesn't work forever. The X-Masters are trying to get closer in order not to let Baron and the Ballista to attack him, but look how many damage do the snipers do, and look how good do the princes do. And with all of those healers, those guys just do not die, and even alchemist ability can save him, as well as the last X-Master. And with this peculiar army composition, Zvei is being able to win this trade, probably because that chief was taken down in the very beginning of this long engagement. The artillery strike is completely missed, but that's not too important. It seems that the worker took the middle chest in the meantime, which I didn't even notice, but it seems that Zvei did. So he has the resources advantage. We see that he really has a lot in the bank, but not adding a lot of stuff. He could probably add the third racks or the second factory, but I'm not sure if that is important in this situation. But he could get the new units and reinforce quicker, obviously. While Dominator, well, he has quite a bit as well. So probably he could use more of the higher scroll or add more production. Now he decided to add the workshop, and as we see him upgrading the totem of Orcs, that means that he's gonna use the catapults as a counter unit to ballistas, probably to attack from the long range. That is something that dark players didn't use to build previously, but recently catapults as well as the ballistas were buffed together, they both their price were lowered, so it is easier now to get them. And alright, Princess shoots pretty much to nowhere, but I'm not sure how important it is, because Zwei, it seems, is about to start the final push. He has his things ready, he's getting them ready to ready for assault, while his units again took both of the chests. And here comes the assault units, which are the snipers, the ballistas, and the Baron. So if you guys are struggling to take down the enemy's defense, alright, here Dominator doesn't have any towers, but his position with the Circle of Power and the two heroes is quite good as well. But I just mean, use these kind of units. But anyway, Zwei is going to start his assault, the Meteor as the opening of this fight. Baron starts his artillery strike in the midst of the enemy's army. Two X-Masters are going down, snipers are continuing to strike, as well as the ballistas. I'm not sure what is Paladin doing, pretty much Zwei was trying to save it and did even too good. And here comes the Circle of the Power, but that will not be enough, obviously, as the light player just has too much, and here is his way to deal with this imba, as many players told that the dark heroes are too strong, the light heroes are useless, and the healers are useless, and we can't do with the X-Masters. A lot of players say that, me included probably sometimes, but Zwei ashamed all of us with this game, playing against one of the strongest players for the dark for this particular strategy. But by not losing any heroes except for one time he lost the Paladin, but his units were surviving all the game, his heroes in the first place were surviving, and he showed how he can overcome the strategy by the positioning, not fighting inside the enemy's buffs, inside the enemy's scroll, and with this he was able to come on top. So it is something to try to do after such a good player, so I hope this was useful for you as an example of how to play this game, as well as just the spectacular game to watch, and I tried to commentate it the best I can. It is not the first time, but I'm pretty much learning still to commentate in English, so feel free to leave your feedback for that as well. And of course, let us know how do you deal with this strategy and how does this work for you in your games, guys. And for this video, this is it. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.